The Lanterns of Bhusan Historical War. Korea, 1592. During the Imjin War, Japanese invasion of Korea. The Lanterns of Bhusan. Before the flames, Bhusan was a city of paper and silk. Its harbor glistened with morning mist, and the mountains behind it watched over the shore like ancient guardians. In spring, fishermen released floating lanterns onto the sea. Red for peace, white for remembrance, yellow for the future. But in the spring of 1592, the lanterns burned before they reached the water. And among the ashes, a boy ran through the smoke, clutching a book no one else remembered. His name was Minjai, and this is the story he would never forget. The day the ships arrived. Minjai was 12 when he first saw the horizon darken, not with clouds, but with sailors, dozens of them. Japanese ships, their hulls low and sharp, dragon heads carved at the bows. His father was a scholar, keeper of scrolls at the Bhusan Fortress Library. He believed books could protect a nation. Minjai believed him, until the cannons began to roar. The first blast shattered the gate, the second lit the market ablaze, and the third sent Minjai running, barefoot, through the cherry blossom paths, a single book pressed to his chest. The Book of Lanterns. The book was slim, bound in rice paper and faded thread. It was titled Lantern Prayers of the Coast. Inside were ancient rites, ceremonies meant to guide the dead, call back lost fishermen, and bless departing warriors. Minjai's grandmother had once whispered them to him on monsoon nights. He didn't know why he grabbed the book, only that he had to. He fled to the hills as Bhusan burned. From the cliffs, he watched the city fall. The woman in the cave. In the forest beyond the harbor stood a cave veiled in moss and wind. Minjai stumbled into it at dusk, weak and hungry. Inside sat a woman in gray robes, her hair long, her face hidden beneath a straw hat. "You carry an old voice," she said, her back to him. "It's just a book," Minjai whispered. The woman turned, revealing a face lined like bark. Not just a book, a memory. She brewed pine needle tea, fed him rice and bitter roots, and asked for the book. Not to keep, but to hear. The lantern right together, they read the prayers aloud. Minjai's voice trembled at first, but with each word the air grew still. Outside the winds shifted, trees leaned in, and far below by the broken harbor, a single lantern rose from the water. Then another, and another. They glowed like fireflies floating against the tide. "Each lantern holds a name," the woman said, "but tonight we send them with silence." The return to the city. On the fourth night, Minjai returned to Bhusan. The Japanese had moved north, pushing toward Hanseong. The fortress smoldered. Bodies lined the streets, but the library still stood, barely. He entered through a cracked wall and found the shelves looted, scrolls scattered, ink smeared. But the poetry alcove was untouched. He left the Book of Lanterns there, tucked beneath a stone, then fled. It was no longer his to carry. A sailor's message. Weeks later, Korean naval forces under Admiral Yi Sun-sin began their resistance. Word of a strange occurrence in Bhusan harbor reached them. Lanterns rising from the blackened docks, drifting without wind, as if lit by ghosts. Among the sailors was a poet named Jo Hwan. He followed the trail, found the ruined cave, and the book. He copied it by hand and carried it to the capital. From there it passed through generals, priests, monks. Each added to it. The Lantern Book became more than prayer. It became the heart of a nation. Minjai's last offering. Minjai grew up in hiding. He joined a refugee convoy, then became a monk at a riverside temple. He never returned to Busan, but once a year during the spring moon, he lit 3 lanterns, red, white, yellow, and sent them into the river with these words: "For those who remember, for those who remain, for those who will rebuild." Centuries later, in modern Busan, near the waterfront, a small museum houses ancient scrolls and war relics. One display holds a faded rice paper book titled Lantern Prayers of the Coast. Visitors are invited to write the name of a lost ancestor on a slip of paper and place it in a wooden bowl. Each night, museum staff light floating lanterns in the harbor, and the prayers drift again, as they did so long ago when a boy carried a book and refused to forget.